Brooke was born into a large family in the countryside. After her older brothers and sisters left for the city, the girl remained the only helper for her parents in the household and in taking care of the younger children. She looked after the little ones and spent the whole day doing various household chores and working in the garden. Life in those days was not easy, but for a child who had faced such hardships from a young age, it seemed that it would never end. During all that time, she never heard a kind word from her parents, and if she did not have time to run all the errands, she got beatings. Brooke dreamed all day long about going to the city, marrying a city boy with an apartment, getting a good job, and forgetting about her past life like a bad dream. These thoughts alone gave her the strength to carry on and not break down. On the same day she came of age, Brooke quickly packed her bag and left home to pursue her happiness. She managed to enroll in nursing school and was given a place in the dormitory. She met her roommates there and started looking for a bridegroom. But there was no one who wished to marry her. Time passed, and every day Brooke became more and more sad. One day, her roommate Melanie came overexcited and told her that she met a great guy, a military man, and he invited her on a double date. Hinting that he had a handsome friend, Melanie suggested that Brooke come with her. Brooke agreed with pleasure and immediately got ready. She ironed a new dress, got beads even by her brother, and in her dreams she saw herself living in her spacious apartment with her husband and a little daughter, to whom she would braid pigtails. She dreamed about a little girl, perhaps to give her the motherly love that she had lacked in her childhood. Brooke had not been at ease all day. Barely waiting for the evening, she took out the cheap mascara and bright lipstick given to her by her older sister and began to apply makeup. To her surprise, Melanie said she wouldn't do any makeup at all. "Well, why should I? I want him to fall in love with me as I am. Otherwise, when I clean my face, he'll get scared and run away," laughed Melanie. "Well, it's your business," Brooke said thoughtfully, running a red lipstick across her lips. "But I like to make up." At the appointed time, Brooke and Melanie arrived at the cafe. Two guys were already waiting for them. "Thank you for coming," said Paul cheerfully, "and this is my friend Marvin." "And this is Brooke," replied Melanie. The double date went well. Marvin and Brooke liked each other and started dating. A year later, they got married. When their son Diego was born, they were able to take out a mortgage and bought an apartment. Brooke happily set about furnishing the family nest. But as time passed, she realized to her horror that she was not happy with what she had dreamed of. Both husband and son began to irritate her madly. The apartment no longer seemed so spacious, and she wanted more prosperity. As a result, Marvin could not stand the constant reproaches, and after another scandal, he left home. Brooke thought that he would return, but he did not. She started to take out her resentment on her son, believing that he was the mistake of her youth and the cause of all her problems. She made him clean the house, punishing him for every scrap he missed, scolded him for bad grades, and if he complained about being bullied at school, he got even more from his mother. Marvin first tried to arrange meetings with his son, but Brooke constantly prevented their communication, and he eventually gave up, moved far away, only sending the alimony. When Diego was already in high school, Brooke introduced her son to her man. Zane disliked Diego right away, but Brooke was not interested in her son's opinion. she wasn't giving Diego any pocket money, advising him to go and earn it himself, and he worked from childhood as much as he was able. Zane, on the other hand, came to their apartment more and more often, and soon began to behave in his own way. Sometimes he took Diego with him to his summer house. There he often lounged in a hammock with a bottle of beer and demanded that Diego mow the lawn or do other work, and when he came home he would report to Brooke that he was exhausted while her son was idle. Diego tried to justify himself, but his mother wouldn't listen to him. "You're deliberately accusing Zane, so I don't want to hear it again, or you'll be out of the house." Zane had a daughter, Anya, the same age as Diego, and Brooke, who had always dreamed of a daughter, doted on Anya and always set her as an example for her son. She constantly bought her a beautiful barrette and brand clothes, while her son was wearing the cheapest things from the usual shop. Brooke constantly gave her gifts. Diego was hurt, but he could not change the situation, and when Brooke and Zane got married, Diego's position became worse. Zane stayed at home all day not working, but behaving defiantly and teaching Diego about life. The boy often left home because of this, wandering the streets until late at night. When Diego served in the army and returned to his hometown, his mother and stepfather picked him up at the train station and took him to an unfamiliar neighborhood. As it turned out, during that time, they had sold Brooke's apartment and bought a separate studio in the center of town for Anya and some shabby house on the outskirts of town for themselves. "But my father left the apartment to me, and why did Anya get a decent place for the money from our apartment while I got nothing?" exclaimed Diego with resentment. "No big deal. You will live with us. You will get a job because Zane does not work out. But you're young. You're more likely to be hired," replied his mother as if nothing had happened. Diego looked at her with astonishment and could not believe that she was capable to do such a thing. The next day, the young man went straight to the factory, got a job as a foreman's assistant, and got a room in the dormitory. Finally, breathing a sigh of relief, he began an independent life, but a month later he met his mother near the factory gate. "Son, did you get your paycheck?" "Why are you asking?" asked Diego in surprise. "Well, you're not married. Who are you going to spend your salary on? By the way, I sacrificed so much for you, and now I was downsized and have nothing to live on." "Mum, what about me? What do I have to live on?" But the woman said that her son was still young and could find a part-time job, and she and Zane had nowhere to go. Diego silently gave his mother half of his salary, and when she demanded the rest, stared into her eyes, turned around and left. This was repeated several months. Mother demanded money and reprimanded her son that he gives her not enough. One day he did not give her a penny at all, saying that he was getting married, and now he did not have enough for himself. Soon Diego got married and moved in with his wife. A little while later, he was offered a job as a head of department in another city, with the accommodation provided, and he didn't hesitate to accept. Before he left, he came to say goodbye to his mother, but other people were already living in her house. As it turned out, the house was registered in Zane's name, and he sold it and returned to his ex-wife, and Brooke had to return to the village. So, in the pursuit of her dream, Brooke returned to the place she ran away from many years ago. but now for good.